agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next would be consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting.
Motion to accept the minutes is written and suspend the reading.
Motion from Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Taylor. Any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That's the agenda. Taylor and Savage. Unanimous.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Taylor.
I'd like to make a motion that we remove, or we put all pay raises at the end of the budget.
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Taylor and second from Commissioner Savage to defer consideration of salary and or wages to the end of budget review. Any discussion?
We have discussed this before. If someone has changed jobs, they have went to a higher responsibility and it pays different. That would still entitle them to the raise.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Pay raises are deferred until later time. Okay. Justin has done an exceptional job organizing this. Item number 3 on your agenda are several budgets, and those budgets are one of 3 things: completely unchanged. They are unchanged except for state mandated salaries, and that with that comes benefits, and or number 3 option, no increases and some reductions. Justin gave us these last week, and I hope everybody had time to go over those. Like I say, pretty much everything's unchanged. Justin, you want to speak to that a little bit? I know the state mandated raises,
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do about.
There's a couple fee offices or elected officials in here whose salaries are set by the state. And they got there's no negotiation on that. We have to pay it. Other than that, in here, there's a couple budgets that went down nominally. And then there's a couple that are basically flat or have just a slight amount of reallocation in them. And I can read through the list of the names of the budgets if we want to do that.
I do have one question on one of the budgets.
Okay.
On the Warren County clerks.
Yes.
It was penciled in on, line item 162 and 189, clerical and raises.
Oh yeah, those were she meant for those to just be the same, not
Okay.
no change from this year.
But when you add it to the bottom total, it comes up a little more.
Well, that would be because
89.
she's an elected official.
That is the difference.
Yes, the difference would be her salary. Yes.
Okay,
Also,
but that was, she just left that off and you had to pencil it in.
Yes.
Okay.
on the budget that we were talking about, where one elected official had left off the retirement and the Social Security, and it made their budget look smaller, less money.
Yeah.
But when you add back, at least last year, it made it exceed what last year's budget, or this year's budget will be exceeding last year's.
But that budget that we were talking about before is not in this
Not
first
in
group.
this bunch, okay.
And that's a couple of things that we see discrepancies in budgets every year is somebody will leave their benefits off. Some people will include a requested pay raise. Some people leave the pay raise completely out. So it does get a little convoluted.
It does, but every one of them was exactly like he says. They were either, that was the only one that was penciled in, and that kind of threw me off when I added it on. But I forgot about her salary increase, and then that changed the benefits, and she already had that figured in too.
Director Cotton, are there any line item transfers within any budget that is significant?
Very minimal. I looked through.
I looked for it. I
That's
didn't
one thing
see
that I
any,
looked for today, and they were very minimal. in these particular ones that we're discussing right now.
Ones we're on now with them unchanged, and so there was a couple of them where they swapped some money
Very little.
back and forth,
Yep.
but they just put it in different line items. I would make a motion, we accept these as they are since there is no change.
All right, I have a motion from Commissioner Bolden,
I'll second that motion.
second Commissioner Taylor. Anyone want to speak to that motion?
Making sure that I see.
Justin, for
Yes.
transparency's sake, would you read the list of those?
Yes, please.
Sure thing.
Everybody knows what we're voting on.
Board of Equalization, county mayor / executive, county attorney, the development, planning, building, which is a grant, codes and compliance, county buildings, which is maintenance, preservation of record, which is archives, purchasing, which is where we pay for advertisements for bids, county clerk's office, the judicial commissioners, the Victims Assistance Program, which is funded by restricted funds, the administration of the sex offender registry, the jail, the work release program, we do GPS monitoring, coroner / medical examiner's office, one of Brad's state treatment grant. That was several pages long. Regional mental health, where we pay for the mental evaluation of misdemeanor offenders to make sure they're ready to stand trial when that's necessary. The litter grant, forestry service contribution, the tourism budget, the economic community development budget, which is where we pay for a jail instructor, and we cover the TIF payments. We'll have to remit those back to the IDB. The VSO officer, contributions to other agencies where we pay for chamber dues, and then miscellaneous where we pay for ACH fees and right-of-way fees to county court.
Stops.
I'd like to also add to that, don't give, we as Budget and Finance got to see these for a week. You give them to us a week ago for us to review.
All right, any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now, we are moving on to item 4, which is to review these individual budgets. Animal control is the first one. And let's see where we are. And these are going to be a little interesting to locate.
They're not in order.
No, they are not.
If you look in the packet I handed you tonight, they are in order.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not in order that I'll make notes on.
Oh, that's true. So you will have to find them, but then they'll be in order. The ones I gave you originally, after I pulled out the unchanged, they'll be in order by function code. So you'll be back in the 5,500, 55,000.
There was too many of them for me to remember which one I made notes on.
I even tried numbering mine and still got them mixed up.
And Justin, we talked about this before the meeting, you and I. There were quite a few changes, some increases and some decreases, and I was questioning where we were on balance, but I overlooked the veterinary services drop. There was $11,000 decrease in veterinary services.
Yeah, the entirety of the increase is for utilities, and that's for the new building. Is the hope that all of the other costs are covered by the reduction in veterinary fees and the reduction in, I believe, animal and food supplies. And I believe the reduction in animal food supplies is because we are not staying over capacity like we used to.
We've also got quite a bit of savings through the co-op.
Yeah.
Delivered through tubes versus what we were spending in the past.
What was the number of that, just 55 what?
120.
And it's not going to be at the very top of the page, Tommy. It's right here.
Yeah, it's that rabies and animal control next to Warren County. If you're looking at the
In the
top.
one that he gave you today, it's got 4A on it.
Which is-
Mm-hmm.
269.
269,949.
Director Cotton on line 335, maintenance and repair of buildings. We approved 3,500. They've used $258 and they're asking for 8,500. Is this for the old building?
It was for both.
It would be for both.
Yes, this
I
budget
can't
will now
imagine
cover
we'd have
both.
much.
Well, you never
We
can
might.
tell.
Okay.
But it's a larger building. There's,
Fair enough. That was just a significant
yeah,
bump when they'd only used $258.
Savings of the vet.
Yeah, that's right.
Really changed. That's what-
Motion to approve this budget.
Motion from Commissioner Ross. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Bolden. Any discussion?
Is Jeff the official full-time down there now?
no, he's part-time. He's still part-time, right?
Is he the manager or
Yes.
whatever?
Yeah, he's a supervisor. And
Okay.
he does the scheduling and most of the ordering, I believe. And almost all the administrative paperwork.
Any more discussion?
You say-
He did. If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is EMA. Keep getting my cheat sheet out of order. 36. That's gonna be toward the very back.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's in the 118 budget. So
Yeah, that's 54,410.
Civil defense,
yes.
It's unchanged.
it's unchanged.
Mhm.
Yeah, the bottom line's unchanged. There's a little bit of moving around, increased communication, reduced travel, increased diesel due to pricing, and the new generator. Then we decreased other supplies materials.
Is that where figured that after doing it a year, figuring out where to move it around to
Yeah.
make it more efficient?
I think so. Jason's here, he can speak to that, but
Communication budget that was there last year, when we added the mobile Wi-Fi internet
307.
system, the program point system,
54.
that pushed that budget
54.
right to $3,000 by the time we get to the end of this year. And then I would like to add Starlink system to that. If we did lose cell service, we would have that as a backup. That runs about $700 a year, minus the equipment. The equipment would go into a different category. As far as paying the monthly fee, that's gonna come out. So that's what the increase in communications went up $700.
It being unchanged and just moving money around doesn't bother me.
We took some money out of travel, took some money out of other supplies and materials to kind of make up the difference that you see, so that we net out the same at the bottom.
I actually got a little money left over for expenses.
Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Motion from Commissioner Savage,
So,
second Commissioner Bolden. Anyone want to speak to the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we go back towards the front. I think that's about the third page in your budget with finance, isn't that right, Justin?
it's a little further down. Well, yeah, third page and the ones that were left over.
Yeah.
We did a bunch of those in between. 52,100.
oh. On this, it looks like the raises have done been put in.
I mean, yeah, I always put mine in every year. I just put in the same amount that I received from the state.
What happened with the data process?
Now that's one thing I was going to, I forgot to put it in the explanations, but we're looking to institute a digital timesheet software, which will run us about $15,000 a year. And then there's a one-time setup of about $2,000 to $3,000, and it would allow for less human error and easier verification of some of our more satellite employees, people who don't have a direct supervisor who can actually see when they do or do not get to work. Biggest examples are BSO, soil conservation, the custodian at the mall, people who are in a building that, the soil conservation, not even the county building, because they're in the USDA building. We have no way of verifying, if for audit purposes, there's a control problem there, that there's two people over there reporting with no other supervisor, no site. But it would allow for us to fix that. And it would simplify the tracking of employee time and the calculation of time, because we're
Would
still
that
doing
mean
all
that
manual.
they clock in on a time clock that takes your eye or?
Well, it would be on your phone. Most of it would be done on your phone, except for the ones who don't have access to a phone. We could put in the options. We could buy a kiosk, cheap iPad, not really an iPad, but a tablet of some kind, set it up as a kiosk for them to clock in and out with a PIN number, just like they buy gas. Or they could do it on a phone, laptop, workstation. And if they do it on their phone, we could have it geofenced, so that way they have to be with either. We have two options on that one. They have to be within a certain range of their location, or we could have it so they have to be on their location's Wi-Fi. They can IP lock it or geo lock it, so that way you can't manipulate it.
I'm getting ready to say that'd be
Yeah,
if you ain't careful,
it could be a problem. But what we're trying to do is, and it's Franklin County uses this same system, and they've been using it for quite a while, and they've had some good luck with it. I priced 4 different systems. This one's the cheapest by far, and I spoke to somebody who actually has used it, and they have no problems with it. It'll handle everything. It'll handle comp. It'll handle the various schedules that we've got. I actually did a demo with a lot of the directors, and it might actually help with scheduling for EMS and a few other places. But
so it's gonna help across the board.
yeah,
So, you just figured all these other raises on the 2.63%.
and obviously that y'all already pulled those out. So
Right. So the only difference is on 317
That's about it.
Yeah.
Not much different.
and the explanation for why, which that could prove to save the county money in the long run.
and if it will save some time in my
I was
office.
getting ready to ask that, will it save some time in your office?
Yes, it'll save some time in my office. Not enough time that we would reduce staff, but every year there's a new regulation coming out. There's a new reconciliation that's got to be done, more stuff that's got to be touched. So what it would allow us to do is it'll allow us to further put off the need for expansion
Additional
due
staff.
to federal regulations and state recommendations.
Like what you was talking about, the soil conservation, do they even have a clock-in system?
No, they sign time sheets. And then I think somebody at, I think that Terry's signing off on their time sheets, but so is somebody who's in the building, I believe. Or I think, or maybe it's the director of the Soil Conservation Board.
Chairman of the
Chairman.
Conservation Board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
chairman.
chairman.
Chairman of the Conservation Board, then I have to sign on top of him because the Comcom won't accept that.
Everybody's using time sheets, so
Everybody's
this system's way out of date.
Yeah, the other piece of paper.
It's extremely hard for the employees to keep up.
Yeah, and
There's
then
some weird math, some on comp time, holiday hours.
yeah, and then
time.
there's the whole I got here. It's say I'm supposed to get here at 8:00 and I get here at 8:05. Well, you get 5 minutes there that you got to do something with. You either got to put it down as 8:00 or you got to put it down as 8:05, and you got to flex off. You got to go to lunch 5 minutes late. So and it causes you get some people who don't think about it that way, and they just write down exactly what happened. And then they've got fractions. We do everything in quarter hours. So we've always handled everything. It's 15-minute blocks.
We get 7 minutes each way.
So it causes a lot of back and forth every other Monday when timesheets are due. There's at least 1 or 2 people who've got to be called back in to adjust something because they either added it up wrong manually or they made the wrong assumption when doing the math as far as which way to.
And this would just
Right.
make everything. a lot
Almost
easier.
positive that will completely eliminate
Yeah.
that.
Now, what it'll do is before it gets to my office, if that person comes in late and doesn't punch, it's their responsibility to go to their supervisor and say, hey, I missed my punch this morning. I was here at this time. And then their supervisor can go in and do it for them.
Override.
Make a motion to accept.
Motion from Commissioner Bolden, second. Second, Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is county commission. That one's easy to find.
It should be the very top.
On the top of the stack.
Now, I'll go ahead and explain the differences because I'm the one who writes this budget. Looking back every 4 years, there's always a spike in committee attendance. It may not be attendance, it may just be the number of meetings during the first year of a term. And also, several years ago, well, like 4 years ago, we passed to put a travel budget in the county commission line in order to reimburse county commissioners for driving to their,
Training.
some of them's
Yeah,
required training
Yep.
that they have to do. So since it'll be a new class, everybody will probably, they do those classes, I think normally in Cokeville or Lebanon or Franklin or Asheville, you know, they're all, none of them are really close. So I put in, I don't know how many people are going to need to go. You've got about $1,200 per commissioner worth of travel here. If everybody's going to those, the newer commissioners who were here, I think was it 2014 or is it 18? 18, July of 2018. If you were first elected after that, you're required to go to the train to get so many hours a year. So, and I know since then we had at least 12 come in. 12 or 14 new ones since then. So there's a lot of people who need to travel. So this money will only be used if the commissioners actually go to travel and turn in their travel forms. So that's really the reason that's why there's 2 increases in it.
Is that include the fee that we have to pay?
And Justin, we discussed this the other day, but this only pays for travel expenses if you are driving. If you're carpooling, the individual who's driving. If
you have a registration that you have to pay to get in, if it's not a free training, then it will cover your entry fee, your sign up, your tuition. But it only reimburses mileage for the one whose car you're driving, who's actually driving. And really, it shouldn't be who's driving, it's whose car is being
whose
driven.
vehicle, whose
owns the
gas,
vehicle.
whose fuel's being burned.
Yes.
Yeah, I got you.
Because that's the way the county policy reads, is that only the person who owns the vehicle gets paid the mileage. So that's the way we'll have to do it for the county commission as well. So if you all carpool, one of you gets the mileage, and then everybody else's tuition still gets paid if it's necessary, or registration, or whatever you want to call it.
Fair enough.
So that is the reason for the increase in travel. All right with that, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
I gotta throw something out to y'all.
Okay.
We all use our own computers, tablets, phones. Why can we not buy the county commissioner's tablets to use and this be for county use and eliminate all this paperwork? At about $2 to $2.50 a piece. Cause I got a tub sitting in my closet of this papers.
You can throw them away.
I don't have a tub. I've got filing cabinets full, and I don't know why.
I got a backseat of the truck full.
We're in the 21st century. Let's get in the 21st century.
Well, that's something we can discuss.
I'm not talking about $1,000 computers. But I think you can buy tablets for $200. Ain't that about right, Justin?
I believe so. Yeah, there's definitely ones you can get for that price range.
Well, the kids
Yeah.
are using Chromebooks.
Yeah, you can get a Chromebook too.
What's the difference in us getting Chromebooks?
How much is Chromebook?
I mean, you can get them as low as $200, $150. Depending on what it's all about,
So
what
you're
specs
looking
you want
at-
in them.
A pretty good one's like $300.
Yeah.
Like super expensive.
I mean, like,
Chromebook's smaller, don't do exactly.
I don't know what
everything.
brand this is, but you can get a 15.6-inch tablet from Walmart. It's an Android version. It's not an iPhone, an Apple, but it's $359. I got another one for $300. And the 15-inch, Because I know that one of the issues with, you know, moving off of paper is you need something about the same size as your paper. Because a lot of people, we can all read what's on this sheet of paper. And if I'm scanning and sending, we all deal in letter paper now, thankfully, we don't do much legal anymore. Then you can, you know, page at a time, it'll still be page for page. So if we're going to do it, I'd recommend at least a 14-inch tablet. That way you don't end up with issues with scrolling and zooming and all that kind of stuff.
That was just a thought.
Well, I know a few years ago, there was an attempt made by some people to go completely paperless, and it didn't work out, but I'm not saying that it wouldn't now.
Well, half the things, Jason will speak on this, after the packets are left on the table and are in the garbage can, it's been printed.
Right.
The savings on paper and ink is gonna pay for a lot of this.
Oh, it'd definitely be a savings.
Well, if you did that, then like when I get it on my phone, I don't open the computer up, but I get it on the phone. When I get the packet, I can't read it hardly on the
Yeah.
phone, but if you had it on a tablet where it's page for page, you could
Yeah.
read it, and that would eliminate printing these.
I see pros and cons both ways.
Chairman,
Probably need
you had a question.
to, Mr. Fair.
Well, the thing about them, tablets, when you crash it, how you can get the information. And they're easy to crash, what I've seen of them.
Whatever's been sent out, it'll be back.
Yeah, this is, it's pretty much just documents. It's not a big programs or anything. It's just big paperwork.
Is it sitting to, when they do that, do they send it into another thing in case that does crash that you'll?
Well, whoever sent it to them would still have it.
Yeah, and Justin's got
It's
it.
just basically for emails and.
Yeah, it would be
Dockets and all that.
emails, dockets, and packets for for meetings, and all of those would come from me, Lisa, or
Yeah.
you can get them on your phone.
No matter what, anytime we can request a paper packet and we can get it. So it's not like that it's information we don't have backed up.
There'll be some that wouldn't want it.
Yeah, there'll be some people that don't want tablets. That's what I'm thinking. I don't hate to buy a bunch of tablets and
Well, if you put the money in there, because I mean, I found several on Amazon. They're less than $250 for a 14-inch tablet. If you put the money in there for $300 for 24 commissioners, and then you could take up. Yeah, then you come back and say, all right, well, who wants one? And then if the money is if someone declines, then we
It's
just don't
still
spend
there.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would be a county asset that's on county inventory that would be. Everybody'd have to sign something that said if they didn't return it.
Just like the school, the kids.
Yeah.
have to sign
Yeah,
for
they,
Chromebooks.
yeah. So and if
Probably
it's
go on .gov and buy theirs for $5.
more or less.
I think the city uses, they have tablets now for their,
That's not a terrible idea.
If you were allowed, you wouldn't have to have any kind of virus protection. See, we're all protected by a firewall here.
Yeah.
Building.
But
Yeah.
the
Outside, they're not, Apple, you don't have any virus issues. It might cost a little bit more, but you look at subscriptions for some kind
Yeah.
of protection on that.
Well,
Do
You
they,
won't get
does,
email,
does
just
Remarkable
saying-
have that issue?
No, see, it's, you can only export things from that.
You
Like,
can't.
for example, I write a note.
Yeah.
I want to export that into a PDF. I send that to myself.
Yeah, you
I'm
can't
not
get
gonna
anything
send it
in.
I don't think so.
No, my Kindle Scribe can, but it's
Yeah.
not big enough. It's only a 10 or 11 inch screen.
I know
It's not-
you can't check email or
Yeah.
get on any website.
Oh, I can't do that either.
device.
Well, and another thing is, we could wait till the new commission comes in to implement this.
But, security wise and, the biggest concern with emails back and forth, that's where your issue might come in as far as viruses, anything of that nature. Even if you was getting on a safe internet site like you got on Amazon, you'd probably be fine. Email, you never know what's embedded in it,
I mean,
but that you would be pretty
What's
well protected with
what's
that.
the size? What's the largest iPad they make?
The largest iPad is 18 inches.
Well, that's way too much. They got something between that and 11?
Yeah, they got 13s, they got 4, I know they got 13s and 15s. And there's
15
different, there's different versions, there's ones, there's a hot rod version.
I was gonna be
there's
emailing him on
Okay.
phone.
Huh? I forget to charge it. You'd be surprised at the people that would forget to charge it.
Keep
and
one
forget to
in
bring
your
it with them.
Yeah.
Keep a charger in your truck. You can buy them $6, Coke.
What do you see, Justin? You think?
Well, it depends on how old of one you want, or what model of one you want. If you want one that big, you want 12.9, you're looking $450, and it's a 2020.
I tell you what, I think we ought to do on this subject so we can move on is, table that and look at it at our next meeting or something, and have a little more information on it, what the cost would be and everything.
Yeah, Justin, get us some numbers. We can always revisit it.
Okay.
Revisit it at the next meeting or something.
329, 15 inch now, it's generational.
Oh, okay.
So that is basically the entry level besides the medium. You get to the air and the pro and the money, just, they get a little bit more hot rod. But I think what we're talking about here, that one's 5
She's over here trying to make money. I don't blame
Okay, back to the county commission budget. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion from Commissioner Savage. Is there a
Second.
second? Second, Commissioner Ross. Anyone want to speak to the
Do
motion?
we need to approve this before we decide on that, or be on a separate?
We just come back to
We
it.
didn't get a motion or anything, so we can revisit it anytime we want to.
Okay, we'll come back to it later.
Yeah, I've got a note to bring y'all some information. We just put the county commission one back on next month, or
Okay.
that, revisit that next month,
All
or
right.
next week, not month.
If somebody loses it, who's responsible?
Person who lost it.
Huh?
The person who lost it.
Any more discussion? Thought Executive Bell was gonna recommend buying the budget finance chairman a new truck, but he's sitting quietly, so didn't happen. So,
Maybe next year.
okay. If there's no more discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. You wouldn't. Okay. Next is the mall.
Backside 118. Well, yeah.
Paving.
Haven did it.
For the most part, what we've done in the past is we budget what we expect to receive in revenues. So obviously, the building improvements have gone away. Like we're not paving again next year.
51,
51810.
518.
That's just the way I think. I mean, so we're looking based on our current lease schedule, it's making 238,000 next year. So that's what I put in the budget. Now, obviously, that'll change when we get raises because there is a part-time person in here. And I just took the remainder out of other charges. We may need to revisit utilities next year. We look like we may be going to go over this year, but we had some higher than normal. We don't have a lot of that data for normal, but higher than previous year bills during the winter. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Are we close right now on that? Just this year's budget?
Utilities?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're close.
We got a couple, we got a few different buildings with utility
Below zero.
potentials.
Yeah.
But I'll bring those up in the budget amendment
In the
later.
teens,
Yeah.
single digit.
All right, do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Commissioner Bolden. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Ross. Anyone else want to speak to the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
This next one probably should have been in the first group, but because it went down. And everything else fairly stayed the same, with the exception of surety on purity bonds. That's why I didn't include it.
Of what?
51900 surety bonds. There's a lot of people getting elected this year, and everybody will need a new bond. So that's my best guess on what it looks like.
Okay.
We had 1,000 in there this year for a bond, but then that bond ended up being covered out of the director's budget, so we ended up not picking it up. But there'll be a lot next year. Everybody else's bonds are historically paid out of out of this budget. So
And that, those bond costs vary.
yes, because the rates on them are
Right.
drastically different.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion from Commissioner Bolden. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to this motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we go to the VOCA grant.
There's really, this is 53,600. The only real change here is that I took the medical insurance out. This is a grant-funded position, pair of grant-funded positions in the DA's office. Their salaries are the entirety of the grant. And a couple years ago, we decided to move all health insurance allocations into one place in employee benefits, which we'll see here in a little bit. So I didn't feel it was necessary, since it was no longer part of the grant budget itself, to leave it in this fund. So I was trying to get it out so that it falls in line with all the others that are, the grants aren't paying for the health
If you
insurance.
add that on there, it's really unchanged.
Yeah.
Yep, do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Commissioner Bolden, second, Commissioner Taylor. Anyone else want to speak to this motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is opioid abatement council program. This is one of Brad's, right?
No, this
It's
is
not
Keith.
All right.
Brad. Yeah, it's Keith. Yeah.
So he has a raise in his, since it's not come up yet. When we passed the allocation plan through the Opioid Abatement Council, we included his raise for the first, our schedule has a raise for the first 8 years. Now you can give him more, but his raise is grant funded, similar to the way Brad's are grant funded. So the county can make the decision whether or not we want to do that.
That's $1,500. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what we had in there. If we want to give him more, if the county ends up going more and y'all want to give him more, then we can do that.
Did it come out of the grant money too, or?
Yeah, we could. I think the council has to talk about that one too, since it's not in their plan, but not sure exactly how that works legally within the structures of the county committees and stuff. But really it's the same, except, well, we went down, we dropped off other supplies, materials, and the vehicle, and then just had his planned raise in there.
Okay, so Justin, we probably have to make a note to revisit this individual raise
Yeah.
at the end. Okay, with the exception of the raise, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion, Commissioner Bolden.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Savage. Anyone else want to speak to the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, you will have one titled other charges.
58,400. It is up there where it's at building and contents insurance,
Yeah.
kind of sort of. So,
Ah.
workers' comp has went up because,
I don't know that it's that up. It looks like it's going to go up this year, just because of cases, incidents. But I'm budgeting for a 10% increase, just in the hopes that it doesn't happen. And that, like, if you'll look at what I expect after running the numbers from the billing and trying to estimate what we're going to be billed from self-insurance, self-insurance has paid these premiums for the insurances, But workers' comp is never actually rolled up until the end of the year because we have to, general fund will reimburse the self-insurance fund for actual claims throughout the year also. So it's an estimate on workers' comp insurance. So, but what I've been trying to do to stay ahead of the rapidly increasing cost of insurance is to just whatever I expect it to be this year, give a 10% increase for for budgetary purposes. So that way we don't have to come back mid-year.
Right.
On the building and contents, we've not spent near as much as it was.
Yeah, they did reallocated something inside because of the way it works. It's based on a percentage of the overall, because we share that policy with highway, schools, and then the entire county.
We're not covering the whole thing.
Right.
We're covering
So
a portion of it.
if one part of it gets really, like if the premium stays pretty much the same, but one of our buildings doesn't escalate in value on the insurance schedule as much as say 6 schools or something, where they've added on to buildings, the value of those buildings goes way up, but it doesn't necessarily correlate to a drastic increase in the premium cost, but it shifts the allocation ratio. So I feel like that's probably why we've come down in where we were at from last year.
So we've had several workers' compensation claims,
They happen all the time.
like paper cuts or what? I mean,
See that
Trips,
Chromebook would
slips.
eliminate that.
Slips, trips, and falls are a lot of it. But I mean, some of them do.
Little cuts.
I don't actually know if Jackie's had any, but Jackie's employees,
Well, no, I could see
They gotta
that.
get-
I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah.
Flipped a tree out of the road.
The schools get a lot.
yeah,
School.
yeah, schools get a lot.
Have a lot.
I would like one employee.
Yeah.
I mean, I never had a claim, but in my office one time somebody was opening a filing cabinet and they left the bottom drawer open and it fell over and it hit them. So like that's something that could have resulted in a claim. Luckily it didn't. She was fine. But it's stuff like that that's just freak accidents. We had a guy fall and break his leg. So like he was just outside going down some steps, tripped, broke his leg. So that's a work comp claim.
And if somebody is hurt bad enough that it requires an ambulance, of course, they go to the ER.
Yeah.
If other things will start at the county clinic.
Yeah, David is doing a lot to try to mitigate those costs, and that's one of them. If it's not an emergency visit, we're using the clinic now, and it's
It's where the paperwork starts.
Yeah.
Some of these injuries that carry from year old.
Yeah.
Somebody hurts themselves, they've got a pin in their ankle or something, 3 years later, that pin's got to be replaced or removed, that goes back to that same.
Yeah. And if they were out on workers' comp in May last year, and it bled into this year in December, all those work comp claims got to come out of this year's budget because we've already closed and wrapped up. So
I stand corrected for him asking.
I can't believe you brought that up.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Ross,
Second.
second Commissioner Savage.
You chimed in there, didn't
And again, these increases are only based on an estimate.
yes,
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, what we on, Justin?
we're on employee benefits. 58600 should be right about the next page for you. You've got them in the old order.
Tom's gonna have questions.
Yeah, he's gonna have questions.
I got a question.
Okay.
707, building
Uh-huh.
improvements.
All right. Well, so this is not something that you want to come do this one, or
Which one is
this is clinic?
it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, what we've got going on there, we're gonna have to expand the clinic. So if we expand it, we'll have to spend some money fixing it somewhere. Now, where that's been decided, where we're going, all that's not been negotiated out, or exactly when we will expand it. But I feel like before the end of next physical year, it will have to happen. They're just out of space.
Yeah.
And that, he had give us some numbers. He met with us because he's complaining, the guy that's over the clinic, he's complaining he's not got enough space and something's going to have to be done for us to serve the school system and the county employees efficiently. And these is numbers that he has given us
Yeah.
on what it would take to expand. So we're wanting to place it in the budget just so if this becomes reality, we don't have to come back and say, well, now we've got to go back to county court, we've got to ask for money, and we've got to have this storm and do this.
And I have talked to the schools, they have the numbers as well. And last I heard, they were talking about including those numbers in their budget request as well. But I don't know where they're at with it. But from my side of it, we're going first. I feel like they gave us numbers, and this is the 40,000 is way more than our allocation of what the fella thought it would cost to outfit a building or retrofit or do the renovations. So I just thought we'd, go ahead and put it in there, go high, so that way we have the budget in there. If we pull back, we don't need it. Because no one uses this particular category
Yeah.
except for these things. Like these things are all set,
Mhm.
but this is what it is.
All right,
And,
this,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Are we talking about another clinic or just moving that one out there is in a new building, right?
Yeah, but the only problem is there's
It's-
nowhere
it's
else
under-
probably,
it's small.
Yeah.
there's nowhere else.
Okay.
That would probably be worst case scenario, having to totally renovate.
You're gonna have to add another, doctor too, because she can't see.
When you look at $399,
Yeah.
It's in there too.
Yeah, but it's gonna have to happen because she can't see all of it.
Right.
Is
I
that-
mean, we're already running at 85, 90% capacity all the time.
All the time.
now that's the clinic that most people weren't interested in using. Is that the one?
I think
That's
the same one.
one that everybody was fussing about when we put it in.
I was just checking. I think,
Yeah,
I
that's the
thought
same
that was the same.
It's been one of the best things we've ever done for the
And
whole.
it's
fantastic.
employee period.
I have never
I'm
been,
telling you.
but
I've
I have
been-
heard
I'm going
nothing
in
but
morning.
positive.
I've been
Everybody
several
that,
times.
But
that
that's
uses
the
it
reason we
says
need
it's
to go ahead
The
and
only
have this.
complaint that you'll get is that they're overworked. and
Right.
Can't get in.
Yeah.
But this is to fix that problem.
Right, I
That's what
agree,
we're-
I agree.
So are we talking about moving them to another building?
we just
That's
about
what we're
have
trying.
to.
That's
That's
the
what we're trying
best
to do.
scenario. is
That's
that
the
we-
best scenario.
There's no place to expand out there.
No, they don't have any more room, even though they've just been there a short time. But when you have put in a program that's that good, that you grow that fast,
Yeah.
you've done the right
It
thing.
was
Yeah,
just
'cause
underbuilt.
when we launched,
We've got
They-
different options. I just,
That plan
the
to
schools
do
is
that
not
was
meeting
when we
to actually
started,
start
and it grew before they actually completed the construction.
Oh, yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
they couldn't get it up.
like they say normally they hit 50% capacity within the first 3 to 6 months. Well, by the end of October, they were already running at 80. And then now you can't get in you're lucky if you can get in tomorrow because they're so booked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard in the wintertime when sickness was rampant, it was like days.
that's like 3 days out.
Yeah,
And
3
we need to
days.
serve our employees
Yeah.
better than that.
And that's really what Tim was really worried about was this year's flu season. How are they possibly going to be able to service, do the job they wanted to be doing when they can't let people in. There's no way to get in when you just come off sick.
I hate to see the increase and I hate to add the budgets, but I think this is a very big necessity for all of us included. So I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
Motion from Commissioner Taylor.
Sorry.
Second, Commissioner Savage. Anyone else want to speak to this motion?
I have one more quick question. The line 399, is that for the addition of another medical person?
Staff.
Yeah, that's
399 is staffing.
Mhm.
707 is for renovation.
Okay, that's good. That's fine.
And 207 is where we pay for HRA stuff.
Okay.
It's all the insurance stuff.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Extra stuff to give you on this one.
Okay, good. We're moving on to debt service.
Yeah. This is just backup documentation. The first page is just backup documentation for the budget that's presented. Kind of consolidates the overall. Oh wait, I gave you two. Give me. Just take that top page, Tom. Yeah. You'll get the other one again later. We'll cover it in a minute. Anybody else not get one? Everybody got? I give everybody one. All right, so This is just a list of the debts we have and how it rolls down into correlating to the $3.4 million debt service budget that we're looking at. So it shows you all 5 of our outstanding bond issues, our 1 outstanding loan, what's left, what portion of it's schools, what portion's county. If you have any questions about particular lines, have at it. The bottom down there shows you what the balance of our debt service will be at the end of the year. So we'll have $16 million in debt, 16.6 million at the end of FY27. If we don't borrow anymore, we're starting the year with $18.3 million in capital. Obviously not paying attention to the interest because that's variable. I also want to give you all this so that way you can see this has a better idea of all of debt service. It has debt service kind of consolidated in the bottom right corner to compare the numbers of where our fund balance is based on the debt we have. Obviously, I've not played with the taxes at all, so it's not got to be that number. We can obviously play around with the things that are funded, funneling money in, funding sources, but debt service is very healthy.
Say the least.
And there's not a lot of wiggle room on the budget per se, but for future planning, I wanted you to know where we were at. I gave you all the actual debt book. All the debts we have now are callable with the exception of the Morrison QSCB 2010 issue, which is the very first debt in the packet of debts of the debt summary debt book.
And that one is not,
That one is not callable, but is also.
but it's almost
We
finished.
pay $25,000 in interest really a year. Actually, no, we pay less than that because we get refunded almost all of this $450,000 in interest we pay.
How far out are we on that? Just
That one expires sometime in fiscal year 28, but it's like 3 months in, so it's 1 quarter in roughly.
28.
Yeah, well, into 27, it's probably July. It may be July or August of 28 or 27 is when it expires.
So immediately after. the
Pretty
budget.
much immediately after the budget we're setting. I know I handed y'all a lot of stuff, but y'all have
That's
questions,
okay.
let me know.
Mine got crossed.
Yeah.
Justin, we had this discussion the other day, but at this point right now where the interest rate is, we're still making money.
Yeah.
On the money that we've got invested over the interest we're paying.
Because most of the, we tend to get 3 points below prime, which is the federal rate, which right now is about on par, just a little bit above what most of our debts are. Because of the way several of these debts are restructured, they've got the interest rates in them go up and down, and it's almost nonsensical to try to pattern it out. But case in point, like the 2018 bond, it gets higher in interest as we go, but we're currently paying 3%, whereas we're earning 4.5.
We got a good high credit number.
Now the 2019 B, this year we're going to probably lose money because we're paying 5% this year. The next year it drops back down to 2. But one of the refinancings drops off is what causes that. And the 2019 C, it stays at about 3%. So that one, we're going to see an interest rate fall to start losing money on that issue. And that's not really interest on the capital outlay note. It's a fee, not an interest. That we can't, even if we close out that loan early, we'll have to pay that remainder of those fees. It's written into the original issue, but it still ended up only like a 1% fee for the borrowing that $2 million.
So it doesn't benefit you to pay it off.
Not really.
I remember a few years ago when that looked pretty scary.
Yeah.
It looks a little better now, doesn't it?
It's a lot better.
Yeah. All right, any questions for Justin? Justin, we need to vote on this one.
Yes.
All right, no more questions. I would entertain a motion to approve the debt service.
Motion.
Motion from Commissioner Bolden. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Ross. Anyone want to speak to that motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. To,
Yeah, we didn't bring them up.
now we gotta move on to 5, review amendments and transfers.
I have one transfer and one amendment.
Okay. This is a subscription, Justin, for general
Yes,
sessions.
it is his Adobe subscription where so he can sign stuff remotely, digitally, with all the proper securities and verifications on it. They don't have enough money in $599 to cover it. It's the only line they have that is appropriate for them to pay it out of, so they asked for me to move more money out of office equipment.
Okay, $223. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Commissioner Savage, is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Ross. Anyone want to speak to the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next, Justin, is 5.2.
Yes, ambulance amendment number 5. They've received, again, this year, they got the rescue squad grant. This is $35,000. They want to buy coats, pants, gloves, and helmets for everybody who could respond to rescue calls within the ambulance service. It's 100% grant, no county funds. So because now I know it's put in the rescue squad category because they already have a uniforms budget in the EMS, and there's only one line item in rescue squad. So since it's a rescue squad grant, I felt it appropriate for us to use that line item. This is for the EMS department, not the local rescue squad.
Okay.
It is a rescue squad grant though. I mean, it's the name of the.
But it goes to the EMS.
Yes. I put that in the description down at the bottom, but I did want to make sure that was very plain that this is an EMS grant, not a grant for the local rescue squad.
Okay, 100% grant funded. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion from Commissioner Bolden.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Savage. Anyone want to speak to the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we are down to item 6, public comment. Anybody have any public comment tonight? Anybody? If not, is there any other business that needs to come before this committee tonight? Justin, good?
I'm gonna hand y'all some more
Okay.
stuff to look at. 'Cause, I know y'all gonna do this at the end, but here you go.
Okay.
There's what that number costs. I'm giving you a sheet. That's the raise sheet we used last year. It's updated. You can pretty easily run the numbers on what it's going to cost us. Actually, underneath the raise column, that number that's actually not both those numbers. That's just Social Security. So, but you add that 492 and the other, you can, essentially, if you want to take it in $500 increments, add those two numbers together, divide by 500, that's 3 increments. So, just so y'all have something to, as you plan for, down the road, y'all already got a number in your hand. The 3-year review I gave you when we were talking about debt service shows all 5 funds, 4 of the funds that we have all the information for currently. I have the budgets completely keyed as they were presented across the board in 118, 101, 122, and 151.
You already got them.
They're already in there. So that 3-year review includes where we expect to end this year and where we expect to end next year. So that those ending fund balance on the 3-year review, that doesn't include anything about raises, but it includes everything as it was currently presented. And then you can use that there to see what it would do to fund balance that, as y'all want to, if y'all want to play with raises at home and figure out, where y'all feel like we're going to go later. That way y'all have plenty of time. I don't want to, since I had the stuff in hand, I thought I'd go ahead and give it to you so we all can work on it whenever you want. Other than that, the only thing I had was who do you want me to call for next time?
I got one little thing on the raises for y'all to consider. I called Justin and asked him to send me the paper of what our hired directors made. He sent me the elected appointed positions and the county hired, like the directors, what their pay was. Something I thought we might want to consider is looking at separating them from the hourly employees or whatever and do that on different scale. The state mandates a certain raise. This year it's 2.63%. It's something we might want to think about on directors instead of like, we gave raises last year. Instead of them getting exactly what we gave to everybody else, we may have them on a percentage scale or something. Something to consider. Actually, Justin said some years it'll save us money if we do it that way. Some years it'd be a little less than what we gave, and some years it might be a little more. But it's just something to think about. He can email you the numbers to where you can look it over if you want to. I'm volunteering him to do that.
I can easily do that.
He don't care. He don't have anything.
But just think about it. I mean, we got to the end of the budget time, but it's just a thought where you separate, your leaders, your directors from the hourly employees. And it might not necessarily, they make more, but the percentage might not give them as big a raise at times, but it'd be a scale to go on. Like every elected director has the state mandates a specific thing, and we could consider it anyway. You could go with whatever the state mandates, which I think they take in the cost of living and stuff like that.
Yeah, and theirs is capped at 5%. It's something to do with an average of the salary raises they gave the prior year, and they generally base their raises on price index or inflation.
And as long as your employees is under the 6-figure thing, you're probably going to come out pretty good on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
To give you what he's saying is like if you had a $50,000 employee and the state gave $50,000 director and the state gave the full 5%, talking about the 2,500 you gave last year.
Yeah.
And the state's only giving the full 5%. Twice since in my 7 years.
But I think
as
that's
director.
something we might want to consider.
And one of those years is because they did a giant salary study and they gave their people like 10, 15% that one year. But then this year it's 2.6, which is a lot more consistent with what they've normally done. It's somewhere between 2 and 3 generally.
So if it's a $50,000 person on 2.6, they would get like $1,300.
Yeah.
Would they get the bonus too?
No, they'd be on that scale.
In that scale, they just get that. Some years if it went up. If somebody made more, of course they're going to draw more.
Okay, we had one more thing we needed to address under
contract.
other
Yeah.
business. Justin, can you explain this?
Yeah, we have a contract that's not been through committee. The Board of Education approved it. It's a $6,000 a year contract for 3 years. We don't normally see those in this committee, but I believe that the legislative rules say that anything going to the full commission needs to be seen by a committee. And it's within their budget. It just needs a recommendation to go to the full court. It's for a software they use for.
That's $64.75 a year
Yeah.
for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is within their budget. Do I hear a motion to approve? Motion, Mr. Bolden. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Savage. Anyone want to speak to the motion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
You need to know who you're gonna bring.
Yeah, well, I haven't discussed with anybody about who can be here, but what day are we meeting? Tuesday next week? Was that the plan?
I talked to everybody and everybody was good. Looked like with Tuesday is 6 o'clock gonna work for everybody else.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so tonight we reviewed 226 line items, 37 budgets. There's only 437 line items left in the general budget. Obviously, we're not talking about schools and highway because there's not due until early May.
Right.
Do you want me to try to get half of those, or just as many people as close to half as I can get with people who can be here?
That or more.
That suits me.
I just soon get it here and if I'm coming here, I just soon be here and get it over with.
You give
And
these
those people are
directors,
in these right here that.
Yeah, I've got them all.
you give the directors 2 options. If they can't get this meeting, we'll try to set a meeting the following week and maybe we can get them all in here in 2 meetings.
Okay.
I'd
Of
love to
course,
see
we're
it.
still gonna have to get back in here for schools and food
Yeah.
service and highway and raises
Tax rate.
and tax rate and all that stuff, so. But that's fine with me.
Okay.
You just, let me know what you wanna do as far as budgets go.
You get them on
and
there and we'll be here.
Who can and can't be here.
Well, I will likely call most of them tomorrow because we need to call the meeting tomorrow. So we're gonna do it at 6.
Yeah.
And I'll get as many people who can confirm tomorrow on the agenda.
It's done, not done.
Yeah, but did on that where we'll get them all.
Anybody else got anything? Justin, I had a question from voting public, concerning, I guess what you could say is crossing over from one budget to another to use funds from one budget to use it in a function in another budget. That's a no can do, right?
It's a no should do for sure. Because
No should.
the intent of the resolution that you pass,
Mhm.
the resolution you pass is that this category, this 5-digit code gets this much money.
It's dedicated to.
And
that.
then there's a schedule in the back, which is what we're reviewing now, that this is what that number is. So we expect it to stay within these categories, these object codes. But if you're buying something for, like, let's say my office wanted to buy a copier to give to Terry's office.
It should have been
I
in his
have,
budget.
it should have been in his budget, not mine. Like, I shouldn't have spent my budget money that you gave me to do function my office. I should not do that and immediately give it to it. Now, that's a completely different story than I have an old copier that I'm going to get rid of. Obviously, anybody can take it at that point because I've used it to the extent that I feel like it's useful for my office. But to just say, all right, I'm going to go buy something for this other department, by the technical definition, that is misappropriation of funds, which is a subcategory of fraud.
Right.
So to buy something, willfully buy something out of this budget for it to be dominantly used in another budget is not, should not, we shouldn't be doing it.
Well, I had somebody ask me that question, and so I just wanted to get that out here for everybody to hear, just in
Okay.
case something like that were to happen.
Just for clarity, it doesn't matter how big or how small it is.
Correct.
Let's say I've run out of paper over here or stamps over here. You can't go between budgets. At
mean,
least
you're-
you should come and say.
Consumables,
Yeah,
if it's a
but
But it
one-off,
still would be
yeah,
worth a visit to your office, say, hey,
yeah.
I've got,
Especially, okay, it's just April.
uh-huh,
If I've already run out of money to buy staples and paper,
mhm.
I'm going to be bumming all year long. I need to come back and ask for something
Yeah,
else to handle
that's
my
my
business.
point. That's my point. Yeah.
You know, I would say the counterpoint to that is consumables that are negligible in price in June, not a problem because, you know, it's been maybe been a rough year for me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take up time to get $5 to buy another box of staples. But
Yeah,
something
but
like
stamps are not cheap.
stamps are not cheap. They're $75 a roll last time I checked.
That's-
And that's not small money.
That's not small
Not a
money.
box of staples.
That's right.
Um, so yes, if it's, especially this time of year, if it's already a problem, or if it's something bigger, computers,
Yeah,
tablets,
sure.
copiers, printers,
Mhm.
those things definitely need to come out of the budget that they're being used in.
Okay.
Because otherwise, what's the point of us setting a budget?
That's right.
Well, we can't track it.
Right.
We can't track it.
Okay, so Justin, how soon you think you'll have those budgets for next week put together? By Friday anyway? You'll know who's gonna come?
Yeah, I'm gonna call tomorrow.
Okay,
I'm gonna start calling it first thing in the morning.
all right. Well, guys, you've all got
I may
your
send an
budgets.
email out before I go home.
Okay,
That way they'll get it first thing.
We've all
Mr.
got-
Chairman, if
Yes, sir.
it
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
if the committee agrees, would it be all right to have Justin kind of send out, here's a reminder of the things that he just said? Because they may not be
Absolutely.
aware.
Not a
Yeah,
problem.
Thank you.
Justin, that's okay with you? isn't it?
Yeah, I got a couple other new audit things that come up that I need to communicate anyway, so I can throw that in there.
Okay, that'll work. That'll work.
Thank you.
Well, folks, you've got copies of all the budgets, so as soon as Justin gets them out to you, start reviewing for what we're gonna have next week. Looks like we're gonna get these knocked out pretty quick.
Mr. Chairman,
The chairman recognizes Commissioner Taylor.
I make a motion